My mother had three brothers that came from Ireland, and they were Matthew, Luke, and Michael. And they lived with Aunt Annie in Northside. And they spoke Gaelic, and they were very quiet and very reserved. And the thing I remember most about them is they ate peas off a knife. And I was a little girl, and I was fascinated to watch them take a knife and scoop up 3 or 4 peas and balance them to their mouth, put them in, and swallow them. And it was so much fun for me. I used to like to get down on a Sunday afternoon and say, we're going to stay at Aunt Annie's for dinner so we can watch Michael's.
And they were James and Matthew
and Michael.
Michael, all right. And Aunt Annie was your mother, Gertrude Donahue's
aunt. She was her mother's sister. My mother's sister.
Okay. And how did everybody come to live with Aunt Annie?
Aunt Annie was the first one to come from Ireland, and she brought all the men over, and they lived with her. And she had boarders, other male boarders, that she just kept and got money from them.
Was everybody Irish? Everyone who boarded?
Yeah, and one was called Red because he had red hair. I don't know where he came from, but he was definitely Irish. And she had a big attic, and she must have had 5 beds up there with men in them. And they were all uncles, and they came from Ireland. There was Matthew, Mike, Luke. I think there was a Harry. Matthew, Mike, Luke. I can't think of the other one.
But your mom, Gertrude, lived with Aunt Annie when she was how old?
From the time she was 4.
Wow, that young.
My mother's parents, my mother's father was killed in an accident. He was a construction man, and he fell off a building and he was killed. And when he died, his wife lived about 6 months, and they said she died of a broken heart because she couldn't live without him. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they said in those days.
And how, this was, what was her name? That was...
a Donahue. Donahue.
But your mom's parents were, what were their names? Michael and
Mary.
Mary, okay, so they're the ones who died, right?
Yes.
And then, so how many kids did they have that had to find places to live?
Let's see. Gertrude, Florence, Loyola, and James. 4.
And who were the older ones that lived elsewhere? Florence?
Yeah, Florence and Loyola lived with rich relatives in Upper Pittsburgh. I can't remember the name of the town. And James and my mother lived with Aunt Annie. And James started working when he was 13 for the car line, cleaning out streetcars. And he ended up in an executive position when he retired. He was just a little kid when he went to work, sweeping out streetcars and stuff. But he was a hard worker. He had no education. I think he went to the 4th grade like my mother did.
What do you remember about him?
He was definitely very Irish, had an Irish brogue. He loved to sing, and he thought he could sing. And my dad thought he could sing. And so every time they'd get drunk together, they'd sing together. They'd get in our kitchen and they'd sing all the old songs, My Wild Irish Rose. And I'd have to listen to them, and I thought neither one of them could sing.
Oh.
But it was fun because they liked to sing, both of them. And my mother liked her Irish roots, and my dad used to torment her about them. He used to call her Shanty Boat Irish, which I don't know what that means.
What do you know about your name, Mildred Audrey? Where did it come from?
My dad gave me that name. It was his old girlfriends, Mildred and Audrey, before he met my mother. And so when I was born, he was like your dad. He named me before my mother had anything to say about it. She wasn't, she was knocked out. And just like when you were born, I wanted you to be Diane. And I came to, and he said, I named her June.
Well,
I said, where'd you get that name? He said, well, Jane was easy, and June, and he said, I'm a school teacher, and I don't like hard names. I didn't think Diane was hard.
Well, Mildred, Audrey, this is getting a little long, so I'm going to stop, and I'm going to just do a quick sweep of the room so we can see the handsome man my mother married, Wayne Norman Pressler. He's got more German in him. And my brother, my handsome brother, Jim. James Allen.
As you sweep and see your sweeping brother, who doesn't sweep streetcars.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what you ought to do, sweep.
And that's it for now. Bye.
But you